Welcome to our May meeting, Troutman County Council meeting. We are social distancing and ensuring that we provide an opportunity for citizens to see us as we do the business of our town. I believe at this time we have any visitors. I think we will have a guest later on, but right now I have to say welcome to those of you who are in the room. At this time, I'll ask one of the council members to maybe do the invocation. Any volunteers? Mr. Hinkle?
Let us pray. Lord, we thank you for allowing us to come together as a governing body this evening. Please guide and direct us in what we say and do this evening, and for the betterment of our community and citizens therein. We ask that you be with those who are infirmed with this terrible illnesses going around, the COVID-19. We ask that you assist our scientists and medical scientists as quickly as possible to develop some sort of a vaccine or serum that we may defeat this deadly scourge and remove it from our midst. We ask that you lead us as we deliberate on finding a new town manager that we are continuing, and we ask that you lead us to make the right decision in that respect. We ask that you be with each of us personally and remind us that we are here to serve and to do the best we can and be a credit to the people that elect us to these high offices. And all these things we pray. Amen.
We will stand and do our pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have the next item on our agenda is any amendments to our agenda. Are there any amendments to the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to add under new business a conversation with the police chief, or from the police chief to the council concerning the license plate reader program that the police department is now conducting. Allow the chief to discuss that with us this evening more in depth.
Any other items?
I do, Mr. Mayor. I would like a closed session at the end of the meeting pursuant to the NCGS 143-318.11A6 for a personnel matter. And also I would like one under new business to speak about some signs in congratulating the seniors at South Ireland High School.
Okay. So I've got 3 items. 3 requested items. 1 to discuss a personnel matter. 1 on the police chief, for the police chief to discuss tag readers, and 1 for signs. I would like to also add 1 additional under closed session. And Gary, can you give me the?
Sure, it'd be 143-318.11, Paran 1.
Okay. I'm asking for that addition as well. Any other addition?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to discuss possibly some interns with some ideas that I have for maybe this year or the upcoming fall.
Okay. I'll add that to the number 11. And the one Gary reference would be under the 12. Um, okay. Any other additions to the agenda? Okay, hearing none, if there's an acceptance of those items, I'll ask for a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved. I'll second.
Ray, proceed to second. Any other question or comment? Okay, hearing none. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. The next item on the agenda is a consent agenda, which has 6 sets of minutes. These items are approved unless council asks for any of those items to be removed. They're approved with one vote. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion is made to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Motion is made, received a couple of seconds, but give me, pick one. I'll call for the question. None. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. Next item is a proclamation. And I'll read the proclamation. Whereas the Congress and the President of the United States have designated that there be a National Police Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which it fell, National Law Enforcement Week, to pay special attention to those law enforcement officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty for the safety and protection of others. And whereas there are approximately 900,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Troutman Police Department. And whereas there have been 58,866 assaults against law enforcement officers in 2019, resulting in approximately 18,005 injuries. Since this first recorded death in 1791, more than 22,056 law enforcement officers of the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and been killed in the line of duty, including one of our town, Troutman Police Officer William John Petit Sr. And whereas the names of the dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., and whereas National Law Enforcement Week will be observed this year from May 10th through May 16th, and whereas May 15th is designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of all fallen officers and their families, and U.S. flags should be flown at half-staff. And whereas the law enforcement officers are charged with pursuing justice for all individuals and performing their duties with fidelity to the Constitution and civil rights to the individuals and the law enforcement officers serve. And whereas the resolve of law enforcement officers in the service of their communities is unyielding despite inherent dangers in the performance of their duties. And whereas the vigilance, compassion, and the decency of law enforcement officers are the best defense of society against individuals who seek to do harm. And whereas Peace Officers Memorial Day 2020 honors the 89 law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty during 2019, with 2 of those being officers in North Carolina. And whereas thus far in 2020, 61 law enforcement officers across the United States, including 2 from North Carolina, have made the ultimate sacrifice and should be remembered and honored. Whereas all citizens of the Iredell County should remember and recognize the men and women who serve and protect them, and keep in mind that there are law enforcement officers working in the county every hour of the day to ensure that they remain safe. Therefore, be it resolved that the town of Troutman Council formally designates May 10th through May 16th, 2020 as National Law Enforcement Week, and Friday, May 15th as Police Officers Memorial Day in Troutman, and publicly salutes the service of law enforcement officers in our community and in communities across the nation, signed this day, May 8th, 2020. So, I'd like to thank all the law enforcement officers. Chief, please give our regards to all of our team and department. We appreciate everything that you all do.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Can I make one comment?
You can.
Directed, if you can pass this on my behalf, but for the last 2 or 3 years, I've had the privilege of attending the memorial service at the FOP Lodge. Obviously, that's not going to happen, and we all know the reasons why. I'm very hopeful that it will still take place later in the year once we moved into phase 2, phase 3, or the all clear signal, because it's a very moving and meaningful memorial service. And if you haven't had an opportunity to go, it's open to anyone that wishes to attend. With the color guard service, with the monument that's in place out there at the FOP Lodge, with the review of who has served and fallen in service, it just really is a meaningful thing that would hate to see not happen this year, this go around this year. Thank you.
Thank you.
I agree with Paul, that's very moving, but I believe that was canceled even before the pandemic crisis. It was going to not be held at FOP, it was going to be held someplace in Mooresville this year.
Well, wherever it's held, please make a point to attend. You will absolutely be worth your while, and it's a very moving service.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is public comments. However, note that regular meetings are being conducted under the adopted March 30th, 2020 State of Emergency Ordinance, resulting from the issued Governor's Executive Order 121, stay at home. Therefore, at this time, public comments are to be received by mail, email, or live streaming chat, no more than 350 words. Do we have any email or?
We have none.
Okay. We'll move on to our next item is business. First item is the consideration of approval of resolution 0520, titled a resolution of support for the town of Troutman application for the 2020 NCDOT bicycle and ped planning grant initiative. I'll turn it over to Spring.
Trying to time it, of course, George said he wanted to speak on this and was trying to get him on, just temporarily to get him on the phone. I don't know why he's busy.
Yeah, here, maybe just hang out, you can see us. Seven 4-495-1862. You got it? There we go. George.
Good evening, good evening.
Good evening. I'm gonna put you up here on speakerphone for the presentation of the DOT grant application.
Very good. All right. I am right here and ready to go if you need me.
Okay, could you brief them on it?
Sure thing. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. I'll be brief with this. It's good to see you all virtually, that's for sure. This is an annual competitive grant program that NCDOT's Bicycle and Pedestrian Division puts on. They have done it for many years. It's one of the highlights of the whole Bicycle Pedestrian Division programming that they do throughout the course of each year. And I was hoping to be able to do this last year, but didn't have the bandwidth when I was coming on board and knew it was something that the former planning director wanted to do as well, but she didn't have enough bandwidth to do it in the last couple of years under her tenure as well. And I think that it is a very appropriate year to take advantage of this program for Troutman because at the size we are, under 5,000 according to the current census data, the town would be able to be awarded a bike ped plan for a 90-10 reimbursement match. So in other words, we would be paying 10% of it as opposed to 20% of it, which we would have to pay if we were over 5,000, which whether we're over that in the 2020 census is unlikely, but it wouldn't be all that far off. And it may be that by this time next year, we may be pushing that 5,000 population threshold. And so what we've done is put together a resolution for the council should you wish to support it, which then has to go to the CRTPO Technical Coordinating Committee in May, and then the CRTPO board has to adopt it. It also has to go in front of the NCDOT Bike Ped Division as part of the application. So this resolution, should you choose to support it, is a required document for both CRTPO and NCDOT. As you can see from my staff report, the plans themselves usually take 6 to 10 months. And the issue there really is whether or not, when plans and projects can continue to move forward under NCDOT's current slowdown on projects. But since the bike ped, since this was one of the major elements of the bike ped division, my understanding really is that they're not going to let this program lapse. They're going to fight as hard as they can to continue doing these programs and projects.
Okay. Any questions for George?
I have a question. I think it's a very good program. I'm glad that the Board of Aldermen so many years ago decided to do something like this, and it compared to the cost, it's very minimal to the town. The only question I have is there a map of the proposed Troutman pedestrian plan?
Is there a match?
Map.
Map, like a.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back. I'm not really sure, actually. There is mapping in the plan and spread throughout the plan. The plan was done under contract by NCDOT. And I have a copy of the pedestrian plan. It's actually online, so it's open to the public is able to access it on the website. But I don't know that there are any hard copy maps or even maps that I have in the planning department's files.
Okay, I'll check it out online. Thank you.
Okay, sure thing.
Another question for George?
So you're saying under current circumstances, if we were in normal times, I believe you said, roughly 9 months to complete this program and have something before us that we can discuss, deliberate, and pass possibly?
Well, it's 6 to 10 months typically after the contracts are executed. And as you know from past work we've done, the town has done with NCDOT, getting to the point of execution of a contract can be, it can take a while in the best of circumstances. In the current environment, I really can't say where things are going and how long things will take to get rolling on these plans, but we're a relatively small town. The project to select a consultant and execute a contract with the consultant shouldn't take that long on our end. It's just a question of how long it takes on NCDOT's end.
Okay, but at least we're getting the ball rolling. If we pass the action tonight, then we're at least getting the ball started or rolling again. I understand.
Yes, sir, and without this resolution or support, we can't even submit an application. So this is a required part of the application process.
I see, okay. Thank you, George.
Any other questions
You're welcome.
for George? Thank you, Mr. Berger.
You're very welcome.
At this time, council, you've heard from our planning director regarding this opportunity. And as was stated by Ms. Williams, our councils have discussed bike lanes in our town and the need to support these types of initiatives. The opportunity presents itself for this 90-10 match. Is there a motion to approve the, I guess, resolution of support of the town for the 2020 NCDOT bicycle and pedestrian planning grant releases? I'll make that motion. Motion is made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is made. Receive the second. Mr. Berger, we will be supporting and signing the resolution of support. I believe that's it. Good. All right, thank you. The next item on our agenda is item that was added.
Mayor, I don't think you voted.
You didn't vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you for guessing me. Other question, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion passes. Thank you. Next item is item that was added for the at the request of our police chief. You want to set it up and wait your guests?
I appreciate y'all giving us this opportunity, and I'm going to ask the representative of the company that makes the license plate readers come in and do a quick little presentation for you. So if there's any questions, I know this is something we've already talked about in past board meetings. We've had 2 cameras on a trial basis, and we've had them in a busy area, and we've had some good success with that. So we just want to kind of give you an update on that. And this way, if you have any questions or anything, we have the representative here that can answer those questions much better than I can.
And I will step out, so you still have the 10 in the room.
Okay.
If you don't see it.
Welcome.
Hi, everyone. I am Alicia Stanton from Flock Safety. Thank you guys for having me on short notice. As Chief Fleming mentioned, we have been partnered together for the last couple months working on a project here, and really the goal is, as Troutman grows, to try and reduce crime in the city as people are coming in and out, and that's what Flock is helping them do right now on a trial basis. So just kind of wanted to share with you guys a little bit about the company, what we're doing, and answer any questions you guys might have. Got a presentation over there if you guys want to see it, but something pretty interesting. The first day that these trial cameras were installed, there was actually an arrest that was made. This came through. The cameras actually can send your police department, your officers, an alert if a known felon or a stolen vehicle goes past one of those cameras. And so the first day they were installed, an alert came through that there was a stolen vehicle, and so one of the officers was able to make an arrest. And they actually found that the 2 people that they arrested were, the case is still pending and still going through, but it's actually being dealt with by the FBI. So pretty serious criminals that your officers were able to capture on the first day with these cameras. And so I want to share with you a little bit about how we got started. We are a technology company that's based in Atlanta. We're 3 years old. We're right now in 38 states. We are